Carolyn. I'm going to mention before Carolyn starts speaking is she is our third Poet Laureate today. She was Poet Laureate of Virginia from 2006 to 2008. Please take it away, Carolyn.
Thank you. And I want to compliment you on your very moving poem and also on the excellent job that you did organizing this event. And I'd like to say also to our co-host, Bill Glose, for his staunch support of other poets. Now, the poem that I'm going to share, as you can see, is Entering the Mind, but this is from my book, The Embrace, Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. But I want to give you just a little bit of a background. In 1923, Diego Rivera began painting 124 frescoes on 3 floors of the Ministry of Education building in Mexico City. And my husband, who is also an immigrant, and I went down to Mexico, and we studied all of these murals. They're so powerful. They reflect the Mexican people at work, their land, their struggles, triumphs, and festivals. Diego longed for a day when all people could exist in harmony without class distinctions. And I think that's so relevant to what's going on in our world today. This is a monologue, and I'm going to be reading in the voice of the miner. Entering the Mind. A rooster's crow swallows what's left of night. The lantern I clutch flickers as I enter the hill's gashed belly. I offer a blessing to the underworld, pray to its ruler. No need to take chances, I tell myself, swinging a pick into rich veins of silver. The stench of devil's breath fills my lungs. I cough. I remember Papa hovering over my bed and kissing my forehead. Don't follow me into the mines, he warned. The fumes would turn your lungs to stone. A 5-year-old, I squeezed his hand like a treasure. At 14, I toiled in fields, built up my muscles until they commanded crops like rain filaments. At 18, I followed Papa through narrow streets to the mines, bowed my head before descending, each of my brothers heaving a wooden beam as if carrying the cross of Jesus. Now I lean against a rugged wall, take shallow breaths, tell myself the stale air won't harm me. I stare into darkness, see again my father slumped in a corner like a pile of dirt. This time, he doesn't speak, but floats toward me, a banner unfurling. From its seams, water pours over crude, rough nuggets. I touch his blackened fingers, shout his name into the moonless night, as we lift him, rung by rung, up the ladder. His lantern flares like fire. Mi padre, mi padre.
Thank you so much. And Carolyn doesn't need to do a commercial for her book here. I will do it for her. She has several books and collections, of course, that are quite famous. This is one of Diego Rivera's paintings, and she has a wonderful book on the Embrace, poetry about the relationship of Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. I highly recommend it. Thank you again, Carolyn.
Thank you.
All right, so Bill, your second poem here, please.
All right, and so here we are back on the farm. For years, I've written for magazines, but not every interview I conducted made it into my stories. Such was the case of a woman I interviewed from Moldova who was working in Williamsburg on a student visa. She didn't make it into the story, but she inspired this poem. Peasant Farm, Moldova. All day, the family churns Chernozem, their homeland's fecund soil. Papa trudging behind a plowshare, lifting beets until hard domes emerge like a sunrise. Svetlana, the youngest, wears her mother's face, sharp blades of cheekbones over broad shoulders. She chases Papa, yanking leafy stalks, knocking loose the clumps of earth, lining up tubers like a toy maker's row of tops. Her brother follows with a sickle-shaped beet hook, lopping off crowns as if they were culpable. And then Mama, with her pitchfork, bent double, steps time to rhythmic motion of scoop and toss. Somehow, every winter, after horse carts dump autumn's haul of sugar beets at the cannery, and sunflower stalks are stacked to burn for heat, Papa drives the family in a borrowed Zaproject to Lower Denider National Park. If snow hasn't come yet, they will plunge like monk seals into the Black Sea and taste the icy shock of freedom. Staring at the ghostly stains of Chernozem on her hands, Svetlana hears Papa's shrugged-shouldered reminder. Nothing good comes without pain. She knows if you boil beetroots long enough, vermilion-colored juice will spill forth. The waiting time is when liquid solidifies into the sugared syrup of hope.
Thank you, Bill. I'll talk about my own poem later on, but I assumed from this poem that you were a Moldovan immigrant descendant.
Nope, nope.
But
Québécois.
yeah, that's right. I learned that yesterday. But I just love, again, so many of us poets, these last few lines are like zingers. We used to call them last minute zingers in psychiatry. The patient puts the hand on the door, they're walking out the door, and they say, oh, by the way, and then comes the most significant sentence of the entire hour. And this waiting time is amazing, that sentence. Great job.
Thank you, thank you.